as all. Share the screen for the prayers. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Shruti Smruti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So in the last class, we were seeing about Maya, and there is still a little bit more that we have to look about Maya, right? As if what we saw was already not enough, we still have a little bit more to see. That is about the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamoguna. We didn't see about that. We will see about it. So what we saw about Maya till now is it is dependent. Maya actually does not exist, but it is postulated to give a sort of an explanation to this world that we experience it as our reality, because actually there is only Brahman, there is nothing else other than Brahman, but we still have all these names and forms. So how did this come into being? For that we are postulating Maya. So that which is not is called Maya. Ya ma sa Maya. All right. So and what is this Maya? Maya is dependent on Brahman. It is extremely powerful. It has two powers, the wheeling power and the projecting power. Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti. These two powers Maya has. Actually, there is no Maya, okay? But for the explanation, these are all the things that we are going to see about Maya. And it has three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Okay, so before we go further into this Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, another wonderful example for Maya was given by Swami Vimalanandaji in one of her lectures, and I really liked it. Okay, so it involves a little bit of math. Okay, so what happens is there was this very rich horse merchant who suddenly passed away. So he had 17 horses in his possession at that time, and he had 3 sons. And he is telling it to the son, you know, the first son will get half of my horses. Second son will get 1/3 of my horses. And the third son will get 1/9 of my horses. Okay, so he's written a will and he has passed away. Now the sons are fighting how to divide, because there are 17 horses. How will you divide half? You can't even do half of that, right? Forget about 1/3, 1/9 and all. What to do? They're all fighting among themselves. And on that side, one wise old man was riding in a horse, and he sees all this jagada and he comes to a stop and says like, wait, why are you all fighting? So the sons say, you know what, my father passed away, so he's asked us to split the horses like this. Oh, this is your problem. No, take my horse also. Now how many horses you have? 17 plus 1, 18. So now he's saying to the first son, how many horses should you take? I should take half, which means 9 horses. No, take your 9 horses, go. All right. First son happy. Second son, he's asking, you should take how many horses? 1/3. 1/3 is how much? 6. So take your 6 horses, go. So now 9 plus 6, 15 horses is done. And the last son, he's asking how many horses you should take? 1/9, which means 2 horses. So 15 plus 2, 17. Happily, he also took the horse. The wise man climbed on his horse and he went away. So how did this happen? This 18th horse is Maya. Okay. This is also a very wonderful example, right? It makes so much sense, but actually that 18th horse was not there only in that calculation. Somebody came, put it there, helped do all the calculations, and then took the horse and ran away also, right? So that is what Maya is, okay? Even in Chatashloki Bhagavatam also, when you see that 4 shlokas, about Maya, you can't say anything because it is something that is so powerful, but it is actually not there also. So don't get too caught up in contemplating about Maya, okay? Our aim is to contemplate about Brahman. We should not get confused in between, all right? Maya also is based on Brahman. Without Brahman, there is no Maya. But without Maya, Brahman is always there. So don't get too caught up in this Maya's chakra, because after this, all this creation comes from that Maya only. Okay, the base is Maya. Always remember that. Okay, don't get too caught up in all this. Our focus, our contemplation is always about the Brahman. The more and more we contemplate about Brahman, the more and more our own, questions, doubts, all this will slowly reveal itself. The answers will come to ourselves itself. Okay, so remember to contemplate on Brahman and not on this 18th horse Maya. Okay, it is not there actually. So we saw that Maya has 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Gunas in the sense, what do they stand for? Sattva stands for knowledge, fluidity, peace, calmness, goodness, all these things are sattva. Also remember, one guna is not better than the other. Though we all say we should try to cultivate the sattva within ourselves. Okay, that is sattva guna. Second is rajoguna or rajas. Rajas is activity, the will to execute things, the ideas that is coming up and executing all those ideas. Rajas is activity, all right? Tamas is inactivity, where there is no activity that is happening. Ignorance is the nature of tamas. Darkness, ignorance, all this we call for tamas. Okay. So this rajas, sattva, rajas, tamas, these qualities, when they are in a state of equanimity, when they are in a samatva, then what happens? There is no creation at all. Everything is in a state of balance. But whenever there is a little bit of disturbance in the sattva, rajas, tamas gunas, then what happens? The whole creation comes into being. Okay, so Maya has these 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. The permutation, combination of these 3 gunas only is there in all beings. Entire creation has sattva, rajas, tamas, okay, in various proportions. In ourselves also, when we are waking up in the morning, how does the mind feel? Mind feels quiet, calm, happy. The sattva guna is predominant at that time. Then what happens? As the sun rises, we also gain more and more energy. We would want to actually do something, right? Suppose morning 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, somebody says, oh, sit quietly and do your japa. Mind will not be going into that. It will want to do something. It will want to cook. It will want to go to office. It will want to do something at that time, isn't it? That time Rajoguna becomes dominant. Then at night, what happens? Everything comes to a standstill. But it is not that alert quietness like in the morning, but it is like, I just want to close my eyes and sleep. So Tamoguna comes into prominence. Like this, the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is pervading the entire creation, and it is of the nature of Maya. In Brahman, there is no Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. That's why Brahman, we say it is Shuddha Sattva, beyond all this. Nistray Gunya, we say, no, just beyond the 3 gunas. But this entire creation is pervaded with this Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So this is about the Maya, all right? We will have a lot of doubts as we think more and more about Maya, but remember, think more about Brahman, not about Maya, okay? All right. So next, we will go to the next verse. We are next going to see how this whole creation came into being. All right. So we're going to see about the evolution of 5 elements. Tata Akasha Sambhuta Akashat Vayu Vayos Teja Tejasa Apa Abdya Prithvi. All right. So Tata, from that means Maya. From that, Akasha, the space came into being. From space, from Akasha, air came into being, Vayu. From Vayu comes Agni, that is from air comes fire. From fire comes water. From water comes earth. Okay, so this is the order of creation of these 5 great elements. So you will see a little bit more about this, because when we are actually imagining the physical fire and water and all, how can water come from fire? Fire extinguishes water. We will have all these things. Okay, we will see a little bit more about that. All right. All beings have, we saw this when we were talking about the Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, right? We all have a gross physical presence and we also have a subtle presence. It's applicable for all beings. All right. We all have a subtle presence. We all have a gross presence. Similarly, the 5 great elements also have a subtle aspect to it and a gross aspect to it. Okay, and here how the creation is being explained is from the subtlest, the grosser and grosser elements come into being. That is how this creation of elements is being explained. Okay, so don't logically think how can water come from fire, how can earth come from water. It's not in that actual gross form. We are still talking about the subtle form only. Keep that in mind. So we have this Maya. Maya has 3 gunas. And this Maya is creating, with the 3 gunas, it is creating 5 great elements, which is the space, air, fire, water, earth. So the creation is from the subtlest to the grossest. What is subtle? That which is all pervasive. Okay, that is subtle. That which is not very pervasive, which has limited boundaries, defining boundaries, becomes gross. Okay, also, the more an object becomes perceivable to all our 5 senses, the more gross it is. The lesser and lesser and lesser it becomes perceivable, the more and more subtler it gets. Okay, so this is the logic. This is the classification of gross and subtle. Now take space. Sound travels in space. Sound is an aspect of space, and space itself has some sound. Okay, so that is the most subtle. Only through our ears we can perceive the element of space. We can't see space, we can't touch space, nothing can be done about space, isn't it? So that space is the subtlest. So from Maya, the first element that came into being was space. After space, what is the next subtle element? It is the air. We can feel air, movement of air we can feel, isn't it? But we can't see it yet. So don't say I can see dust storm, I can see thunderstorm. All those are different. Dust storm, you're seeing dust, you're not seeing air. Okay, you're only feeling air. Okay, so perceivable to 2 senses. We have the air. Then comes what? Fire. Fire we can see. Obviously, we can't touch. We can still feel the heat. That is also the aspect of touch only. Okay, which was already there in air. So fire we can see, but we can't taste fire. So don't say all these flamethrowers, people put petrol in their mouth and they blow fire. That is blowing petrol, they are not blowing fire. Okay, so you can't taste fire, you can't smell fire. What you are smelling is the smoke, which is caused by the burning material. It is not the smell of the fire. You can't smell fire, you can only smell smoke. I'm giving all these disclaimers because we will have all these doubts. I had all these doubts, so I'm giving this beforehand itself. Okay, so next comes fire. After fire, what? Water. Water doesn't have any smell or taste actually, but only because of water we are able to taste everything, isn't it? If the mouth was dry, will we be able to taste anything? So water has the aspect of taste also. So it's a little more gross. And the grossest of all 5 elements is obviously the earth. Earth we can see, touch, hear. What sound does earth make? When the earth plates collide, when the rock falls one on top of each other, sound is still coming, no? So that's the sound of the earth. Okay, we can smell earth. Earth smell is not only that rain smell, but all smells come from earth. The smell of the flowers, the smell of the fruits and vegetables, they all come from earth only. Okay, so earth essence is smell. So this is how the 5 great elements came into being. So sattva, rajas, tamas pervades all these 5 great elements also. The 5 great, just like, see, only Brahman is there. Then we put in this Maya. This Maya has 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. And we saw that the entire creation, the material cause, efficient cause is one and the same. Ultimately, it is the Brahman. But for now, we are considering it as Maya. So the material cause, efficient cause, both is Maya, which means all creation will have the qualities of Maya, which is sattva, rajas, and tamo guna. Okay, clear till now? Because after this, we are going to see a little bit more about each aspect and what all came from the sattva aspect of the 5 great elements, rajasic aspect of the 5 great elements, tamasic aspect of the 5 great elements. Clear till now? Any doubts? Feel free to unmute and ask. All right. Next, we will see what comes from the sattvic aspect of the 5 great elements. Okay. All right. This is all very interesting. This also talks about the interplay between the Jiva and the Jagat, how the microcosm and the macrocosm are interrelated, how this universe itself is contained in us and how we ourselves are an extension of universe. All this will become clear when we are seeing this next verse. It's very fascinating actually. Okay. Etesham panchatattvanam madhye akashasya satvikamshat Shrotrendriya Sambhutam. Vayo Satvikamshat Tvak Indriyam Sambhutam. Agni Satvikamshat Shakshurindriyam Sambhutam. Jalasya Satvikamsat Rasanendriyam Sambhutam. Prithivya Satvikamshat Grahanendriya Sambhutam. So what it is being said is from the 5 great elements, out of the sattva aspect of the 5 great elements. Remember, I told everything has sattva, rajas, tamas in it. Of the 5 great elements, sattvic aspect, what has come into being from the sattvic aspect of the space? Okay, organ of hearing, organ of hearing, ear came into being. We are not talking about this gross ear. Okay, we saw this no, and the gross body, subtle body, we already saw the ability to hear that sense organ, that one we are talking about. Okay, that which is there in our sukshma sharira, not in the sthula sharira. Okay, so from the sattvika aspect of the space, organ of hearing, ear came into being or evolved. From the sattvic aspect of air, organ of touch, which is the skin, evolved. And from the sattvic aspect of fire, the organ of sight, the eyes, evolved. From the sattvic aspect of water, the organ of taste, that is tongue, evolved. And from the sattvic aspect of earth, the organ of smell, nose, evolved. Okay. See how interrelated they are, isn't it? So beautiful. I don't think evolution has been so logically described anywhere else. I mean, it really has so much correlation, isn't it? So 5 great elements are there, and to perceive the 5 great elements of which this entire universe is made of, the individual also has corresponding organs to sense those 5 great elements. See also why it is coming from sattva. What did I say? Sattva guna is representative of knowledge, right? How do we come to know about the world? We gather information about the world. We know about the world only through the sense organs, isn't it? That is what gives us all the information about the world. So from the sattva aspect of the 5 great elements, the 5 sense organs have come into being. Sense organs that are there in the subtle body, not in the gross body. Okay. From the 5 great elements, the sense organs have come into play, and see how each of the sense organs correspond to that particular object, 5 great element. Are you able to see the relation between the two? From space, ear has come. From air, skin has come into being. From fire, eyes. From water, tongue. And from the earth, nose. All this has come into being. All right. Clear? I think this line is pretty straightforward. Shall we go to the next one? Next, there is also something else that has come from the sattva aspect. What else? Etesham panchatattvanam samashti sattvikamsat manobuddhyahankara chittantakarani sambhutam. Sankalpa vikalpatmakam mana nischayatmika buddhi ahamkarta ahankara chintana kartar chittam manaso devata chandrama buddhe devata brahma ahankarasya rudra chittasya vasudeva. All right, let us see this one more time. Etesham panchatattvanam samashti sattvikamshat manobuddhyahankara chitta antakaranani sambhutani. That is, so here we saw the sattvic aspect of each of these elements separately. No? Now all these 5 elements put together from their collective sattvic aspect. What happens when we mix yellow and blue color? We get green, no? Similarly, when you put all the 5 great elements and take their collective sattvic aspect, our mind has come into being. Mind is also an object of knowledge, isn't it? Mind and the sense organs are very closely connected. Without the mind, the inputs gathered by sense organs will not be processed. Yes or no? And without the sense organs, mind will not get any information. Some way that input should go, isn't it? That the sense organs, mind cannot get any input. Okay, so the mind is the antakarana, inner object, and the sense organs are bahyakarana, outer objects. So that's why the senses are always extroverted. We should be very careful. That's why the mind also runs behind all the senses, because the senses, they have to go out. That is their job. But the job of the mind is to process all the information and act responsibly. The mind should not run along behind all these sense organs. That's where the important distinction comes into play. And we've already seen the mind itself is classified into 4 based on the type of thought modification. We've already seen about this, remember? So the mind, when it is chanchala, this or that, should I do this or that, should I go there, not go there, and all the feelings that comes, happiness, sadness, joy, all the entire range of feelings, emotions, all this, when such kind of thoughts go into the are experienced, then it is called as mind. It is called as the intellect when we are able to take decisions, rational decisions, logical thinking. Yes, this is what I'm going to do. Finally, we say, no, after wavering here and there, we come into a decision. So that quality of mind is intellect. And then we have this chitta. Chitta is memory. All that happened 1998, what happened, that lady too, all this is there, no? The memories that all the impressions that we retain. We not only retain impressions from this lifetime, the karana sharira is there, no? That causal body that carries impressions from God knows how many janmas that we have taken, so many different names and forms. All these impressions are there within us. Okay, so that is chitta. Ahankara is the I, adding to all this. I remember, I am happy, I am deciding, I don't know what to do. This I that comes with it is the ahankara aspect of the mind. Okay, so here they have also talked about the devata. We saw about the devatas for all those sense organs when we were seeing about the subtle body. Okay, if you don't remember, revise the older class. Okay, so here they are also mentioning the devata. The mind devata is moon. He's he's a lunatic. Sorry, I think I got cut off in between. Okay.
Yeah, the screen was frozen.
Yeah, sorry. So you heard about till Brahmaji? Till Brahmaji it was clear? Okay. So so the Lord of Chitta is Vasudeva or Vishnu, and the Lord of Ahankara is Rudra. Rodayati iti Rudra. He who makes us cry is called Rudra. Okay, so what happens? The ego only is causing all this problem. Only when we say, I am having pain, I am suffering this, I, when we remove, no problem. Because we have this all problem, we are sitting and crying. So this is about the Antakarana evolution of the 5 great elements. From there, how our mind, intellect, memory, and ego has come into play. So this is what I wanted to cover today, and I have successfully covered. I'm very happy. Next, we will see what came from the Rajasic aspect of these 5 great elements. Okay. And we will have a question and answer class next week. If you have any questions, you can DM me, so I will try to prepare and come up with answers. And if I'm not able to find answers, I will reach out to the concerned people so that they can help us with proper answer and clarification. All right, so I hope that will be of help. Today's class was pretty straightforward, right? You were able to understand how it all came into play. All right, so we'll finish the class with our prayers as always. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you so much. I'll see you all in the next class. Okay. Bye. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.